An 18-year-old genius, a veteran keeper with shaky hands, and a single moment that ended Uruguay's World Cup 2026 dream. We are talking about one of the most uncomfortable matches of this entire tournament. Spain squeaking past Uruguay with a solitary goal from Alex Baena, courtesy of a Fernando Muslera error so bad, so gut-wrenching, so avoidable, that it will haunt La Celeste fans for years. Was this vintage Spain? Absolutely not. But did it matter? Not one bit. The reigning European champions are through to the knockouts, and Uruguay are going home. Stay with me, because this one is wild. Welcome to SoccerVault, the channel that breaks down every result, every moment, every talking point from World Cup 2026 so you don't miss a single second of the action. Let's get into it. Going into the final round of Group H, the stakes couldn't have been higher. Spain had opened their World Cup campaign with a frustrating 0-0 draw against Cape Verde, an early sign that Luis de la Fuente's side was not going to simply walk through this tournament. They bounced back with a decisive win over Saudi Arabia, putting them in pole position. But 7 points from 9 was the target, and that meant beating Uruguay. Uruguay, meanwhile, came into this match under immense pressure. Marcelo Bielsa's side had shown flashes of their classic South American grit, hard to break down, dangerous on the counter, but their campaign had been stuttering. Crucial results elsewhere meant that a draw might not be enough to advance. They needed something from this game. Win or go home, that was the reality for Bielsa's men. Lamine Yamal, just 18 years old, was the name on everyone's lips going into this fixture. Bielsa himself called the Barcelona wonder kid a game changer, revealing that his entire defensive plan was built around neutralizing the teenager. That is some compliment from a tactical genius like Bielsa. And when you have an opposing manager dedicating his entire tactical preparation to containing your youngest starter, you know the pressure is firmly on Spain to deliver. Let's be brutally honest. The first 41 minutes of this match were not pretty. Spain had 67% possession, yet somehow generated just 6 shots across the entire 90 minutes. Uruguay sat deep, pressed high in short bursts, and tried to stifle the creativity of Yamal and Pedri in the middle. The crowd in Guadalajara was growing restless. This had the uncomfortable look of a match heading towards 0-0, and nobody in the stadium looked happy about it. And then, at the 42nd minute, chaos. Marcos Llorente played a measured delivery into the box. Alex Baena controlled, turned, and struck. A shot that was good, not great. The kind of effort you save 9 times out of 10. But Fernando Muslera, a veteran goalkeeper who has represented Uruguay at the highest level for years, let the ball squirm right through his hands and into the net. The entire stadium seemed to go silent for a beat. A howler. An absolute, unforgivable howler. The half ended 1-0 to Spain, and the Uruguay dressing room must have been a very dark place at the break. Here is where this match entered genuine football history. At halftime, Bielsa made the decision that shocked everyone watching. He substituted Fernando Muslera. Not because of injury, not because of suspension, because his goalkeeper had cost them the match in the most painful way imaginable. And this wasn't just a tough call, this was a historic one. Muslera's replacement, Sergio Rocher, made Uruguay the first team since substitutions were introduced in World Cup play in 1970 to make a goalkeeper substitution in a tournament match. Over 50 years of World Cups, and we had never seen this before. That fact alone tells you everything you need to know about how catastrophic Muslera's performance was. What made it even more extraordinary was this. It was not Muslera's first error this tournament, or his second. This was his third mistake leading directly to a goal at World Cup 2026. 3 errors, 3 goals conceded. Football historians had to go back to 1966 to find a goalkeeper with a worse record in a single edition of the tournament. That is the kind of statistic that doesn't just end a match, it ends legacies. The second half told a familiar story. Spain sat back, absorbed pressure, and allowed Uruguay to hurl bodies forward in desperation. Bielsa threw his attacking players on, switched formations, and pushed high. But Spain, even without dazzling football, are a team built to defend leads. La Roja's defensive organization held firm when it mattered most. The back line was resolute and composed, even as Uruguay threw everything they had at them. Uruguay had their moments. A few half-chances, a couple of moments where the crowd genuinely thought they might nick an equalizer. But without a clinical edge in front of goal, it was always going to be an uphill battle. When the final whistle blew, the scoreline read 0-1. Uruguay were out. Group H was done. Spain topped the group with 7 points, 2 wins, and 1 draw. Cape Verde, sensationally, finished second after holding Saudi Arabia to a 0-0 draw in the other Group H fixture played simultaneously. A team from a small island nation off the coast of West Africa, with a population of just over 500,000 people, are through to the round of 32 at the FIFA World Cup. If that is not a storyline worth celebrating, I genuinely don't know what is. Here is my hot take, and I know some of you are going to disagree with this one. Bielsa should have taken Muslera off after his first error, not waited for 3. The decision to pull him at halftime tonight was absolutely the right one, but it came 2 costly goals too late. In international football at a World Cup, you cannot carry a goalkeeper whose confidence is completely shattered. The moment Muslera made his second error of the tournament, Rocher should have been between the posts. Full stop. Uruguay have the players to be a genuinely dangerous team in knockout football. Darwin Núñez has the pace and power to terrorize any backline in the world. Rodrigo Bentancur anchors the midfield with real quality and composure. Federico Valverde can unlock any defense when he is at his best. But a goalkeeping crisis, one that became increasingly obvious as the tournament progressed, was a problem that nobody in that coaching setup wanted to solve until it was already too late. That, more than the 0-1 result against Spain, is what ends their 2026 World Cup dream. Spain are through to the round of 32, and they will be one of the genuine contenders to go deep in this tournament. A settled squad, elite technical quality, and a young core that includes arguably the best teenager in world football right now, La Roja are dangerous opponents for anyone. But they will need a much bigger, more convincing performance than what we saw tonight if they truly want to lift that trophy. The knockout stage demands more. De La Fuente knows it. The players know it. For Cape Verde, take a moment to appreciate exactly what this means. The Blue Sharks face Argentina in the round of 32. Yes, Argentina, Lionel Messi, and the reigning world champions. Cape Verde will be massive, massive underdogs. But remember, at this World Cup, nothing has been guaranteed. We have already seen shocks, controversies, and moments that absolutely nobody predicted. That fixture is one you simply cannot miss. That is your full breakdown of Spain 1-0 Uruguay, the Muslera disaster, the record-breaking goalkeeper substitution, and what it all means for the knockout stage of World Cup 2026. If you found this useful, smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow more than you know. Subscribe if you have not already, because we are covering every match, every result, and every talking point from World Cup 2026 right here on SoccerVault. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Bielsa made the right call pulling Muslera at halftime? Or was it too little, too late for Uruguay? I will see you in the next one.